Greetings, Star Trek Fleet Commanders. I am the Angry Rhino. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, here, as you can see, Word document again. So, another video for loop prioritization, main events category. This is for the low to high 40s. Basically the same. Well, maybe not basically. There are several that are the same. Like three? Well, I guess three, maybe four. Same loop names, but I did adjust a few of them and where I think they should rank based on a few factors, and I'll get to that right now, I guess. Starting with number 11, swarms. Again, swarms are done. Freebooters have eliminated swarms, though they are still on the list. Mostly to call your attention that there are dailies there. You still would want to do those dailies, but you could do them with freebooters. So there's that. Zindi is number 10. Again, still too new. And especially, at least from what I'm hearing, players lower than 50, 49s and below, bracket I'm talking about right now, seem to be having a little harder time than some of the other players, mostly just because of how much loot the hostiles have. Now, maybe Archer's going to change that, but again, unless you're a spender, probably not getting too much. What's the word? Probably, even if you do get Archer, you probably won't be getting one as effective as, let's say, a spender, because he'll just be lower tiered. But, with sourcing mechanics that come out, hopefully you'll get an Archer at some point and tier him up, and it'll help a lot more. Alright, here's one of the ones that changed now, number 9. I put the Borg cube at number 9. Why I dropped it down? Because crew bonuses are just way too high, especially for this player bracket, the low 40s, the high 40s. I think the crew bonuses are too high in general. I mean, you're talking 192,000 for crew bonuses, which I can get. But at the same time, that 192,000 for officer stats, which was between each attack, defense, and health, I have to use too many max epic officers below deck than I would like, because then too many of them are on one ship and not helping with the other ships. And it's only 50%. It's not even maxing your crew bonuses. It's only 50%. Max your crew bonuses, it's like 900 something thousand. So that thing that we were told where the Borg cube can be close to a ship this size for your level isn't entirely accurate. It can be. Will it? Probably not. I'm going to say no. Because it's barely... Actually, what... With some of the upgrades, like the hull and the shield, and some of those crew bonuses, I think it could get me up to 330 million, which isn't where it should be. It's about 50 million lower, because my sound pack at tier 6 was about, maybe my sound pack was closer to 400 million. So it's short about 50 to 75 million, in my opinion. Now we're talking about a ship that's over 100 million power. So, but again, I can get it up that high because I'm 56. You're in the 40s. You just can't put that many tiers on it. You just can't. Mostly because you're not even going to do the G4 epics, or it's recommended that you don't. Whether you do or not is going to be up to you and how much faction credit you can get. Now, you can, once you reach 53, get your 53 ship up to tier 6, and then get the 2 warp locks, I guess they are, from the G4 epics. Just by skipping the G4 epics and going right to G3 and getting that one. You can get the G3 warp lock and the 2 warp locks at the epic, the G4 epics. It's recommended to do that because the G4 epics just aren't, compared to the price and then how powerful they will be, it's not really there, especially because you're relatively close to 53. Might as well just get the 53 ship. And what else did I say about this? Oh, and at this level, I do think it can be harder to upgrade. Maybe it's not, maybe that's just an opinion, but I do think, well, I guess technically it is kind of hard to upgrade in general because the cutting beam is too weak. So I guess compared to the benefit you'll get from it, it's harder to upgrade because mentally you just can't see the worth. Again, my opinion. So Cube was number 9. 8th, I dropped Voyager down to 8th. Voyager / Scouts, and yes, you really should still be doing the Scouts. Yeah, lots of mini loops, lots of artifacts research can aid in older loops. Yes, it can. But a lot of the research is level locked. Like, I can't even max all my Voyager research out, even though I have a max Voyager. Still can't max some of that research out because I'm level locked. It doesn't unlock until 58, and in some cases, 60. So it's going to make that harder to grind the loops, and therefore just spend less time on it because it will get better once you level up and then can do some of those researches like the warp range research and loot increase researches. Research it is a huge thing in this game. And because there's so many level locks on the Voyager research, it does make it harder. And to be perfectly honest, it's kind of stupid because remember how I said I had a max Voyager? Well, you do remember, assuming you've seen the tree, you remember that there is a research in there that says, oh, do this research and you can get a cost efficiency on Voyager ship parts when upgrading the Voyager. Well, I'm actually only at level 8 of 10 for that research because level locked on the research. When I get to 58, do you think I'm going to do that research? No, because there's no benefit. I already have a max Voyager. Part of that is why it's now lower on this list because the stupid ass research is level locked. Yes, the Voyager is supposed to be or was supposed to be tier level locked. Supposedly, Ultimate DJs complained too much about it and the developers decided to change that. But nobody touched the research. So, kind of pointless. And in some cases, hindered the grinding of the loop because you get to a higher tier not realizing you were level locked, and I'm sorry, I don't know where you should stop at what level. I just don't. Regretfully, anyway. But there may be charts out on Discord. Anyway, you'll just keep progressing because that's the idea. And then, because of the research, you're limited on how you can grind some of these mini loops. It's kind of shitty. So, that's down. Monavine is down. I think only one, though. 7th, Monavine. Again, the loot can be auto-grinded. At this level, in the mid, or I guess in between the low and the high 40s, I don't think the resource and material claims are that high. Yes, they are on the tier of the Monavine, but they are also a bit on level as well. So, you're just going to get less. Like, say, me, I have a tier 7 Monavine, and I'm level 56, so I do a 2 chest pull on the dilithium, so I get 18.5 billion dilithium a day. You're not going to get that in the mid 40s, even if you have a tier 7 Mona V, right? Well, let me double check. Let me go in the refinery. Because it does say that at the top of the refinery. As soon as the thing loads up, thank you, refinery, for loading. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. My Mona V is tier 9. Tier 9, level 56 and 57. So you are bracketed to where these resources claim and materials, right? Because of the automated shipyard thing. You're limited on where. Shit, it's too long to do that claim. You're limited by your level and the tier of the Mona V. So it's not going to be worth it to you until you level up more. Now, the good news is, if I can remember correctly, the mid to the high 40s is really where you start to need more resources, but there have been efficiencies made and more resources handed out. So I don't think you need quite that many. It's really for in the 50s is where you need some of these resource pools. So Mona V was 7. Stella, I moved Stella up to 6. Because in the, where am I at? I gotta remember what bracket I'm talking about. The low to high 40s, you're probably not, most likely you're not done with the research, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You should be where on some of the PvE and PvP resources in the Stella tree. I mean, researches in the Stella tree, you should be what, like level 6, level 7, depending on where you're at in these 40s. You're getting there. You're getting there. I think once you get to the high 40s, you're going to be starting to max some of these out. And yes, there have been other researchers, like in the star base tree or something. You can get more rewards from these armadas. So maybe even closer to the mid 40s is when you might be able to start maxing out some of these researches and finishing them off. And you do want to do that because you'll get done faster and then drastically reduce how much time you would need to spend on a Stella to get the benefits of a Stella. Not that there's that much benefit from having a Stella. There are a few researches that are nice. Stella was 6. Jemadar also moved up several spots. Jemadar 5th now, I think. In my opinion, the Bajoran loop here was really meant for the low to high 40s, maybe the low 50s. So I'll say that, I guess. Low 40s to low 50s is really the target audience for the Bajoran loop, in my opinion. I think it does start at 35, but really that's, the start of it. In the 40s was where you start really getting into it and getting more benefit from it with materials, ship parts, start maxing out Cisco, really good Armada officer. And as far as the grinding the antimatter units go, there's plenty of systems. There's plenty of systems. You could get up to my level and there's like 2 systems. In the 40s, what are there? 10, 15 systems. The higher you get, the more to the end of the Bajoran loop you get, and then that's it. I mean, they stopped making hostiles and armadas for you because it's more a low 40s to a low 50s kind of loop, in my opinion anyway. But you really do want to do these antimatter units and fuel the Bajoran loop because it's a really good loop, especially for the 40s. And talking about ship parts, I moved freebooters down to 4th. Yes, it can take care of your dailies, so you absolutely prioritize your freebooters and takes care of your swarms. Can be done quickly, also have that there. Can get many different ship parts, I still have that listed there, but scrapping. In your 40s, where you're going to be getting most of your ship parts from is from scrapping your G3 epics. Why it's different in the 50s is to get 5-star ship parts, you would have to scrap the G4 ships. G4 uncommons, the G4 rares. Now, I do have a few G4 rares maxed, and I have looked into scrapping them. The numbers are actually pretty good, but at the same time, I kind of like my Pilum and I kind of like my Coronar. They're useful, especially because 120% loot gain there, which is really nice. And the fact that because you need so many ship parts, you can't crank them out. You think about in the 40s, how many G3 epics have you? I mean, how many have I scrapped? I probably scrapped at least 10 of each. So much easier to scrap the G3 epics and get you those ship parts. You get into the 50s, you really can't do that. You don't have, you technically do have access to that mechanic, but you can't fuel that mechanic as well as you can in the 40s, and that's where you really should be focusing on getting your ship parts from. Now, you can't get any rares, which kind of suck, unless you do a jellyfish, which you'll still be getting 4-star ship parts. And yes, you can scrap a max jellyfish. If you have enough efficiencies, yes, some of them are primed, it can absolutely be worth it. If you have some of the primes, max scrapping a jellyfish can absolutely be worth it. Now, really for the 4-star interceptors, but again, scrapping is still a big thing in the 40s, so less emphasis on grinding out ship parts from the freebooters, in my opinion anyway. Mantis is actually third still. Same reasoning. Syndicate XP is really useful. Affects most every loop, and you can get a bunch of officer shards, mostly Grush. You're probably starting to get some Mavery shards, maybe, depending on what level of Syndicate you are. But I didn't move it down because, I wasn't going to move it up anymore because the Mantis itself is just trash. You can use 5 Tau Giorgio really on any ship. Should be grinding better than the Mantis, and you should have a bigger cargo bay, therefore more Actian Venoms. So there's that. Alright, yeah, there's nothing more. Don't really need to say anything. So Mantis was third. Did I say freebooters were fourth? I think I did. Alright, so Mantis is third. Borg moved Borg up to second. Talios is a very good ship. Now, in my opinion, the Talios, as far as a specialty ship and how close the strength of a Talios is to about the strength of your ships here, your G4 uncommons, your G4 rares, it's fairly close, I think. And unlike the Borg Cube, you don't need as many crew bonuses, or you don't need as many stats to hit your crew bonuses. So it absolutely can be a very useful ship. Now, it's probably going to be a second or a tertiary ship. It's not going to be your best ship. But OPC hunting, you're still going to want to be OPC hunting, especially with 4-star, because you need so much of that raw shit. More opportunity for OPCs there. And yes, I mean, there's always opportunity for OPC ISO, so Isogen. I want to say Isogen because there's also Isolytic. Isogen. And it's faster. So, very good benefit there. You do want to really do that loop, just have benefit of the Talios and the ship itself. There's potential that you can use it for a grinder, partly because it's cheaper. Not 100% sure. Probably depends on the ship. Like if you have a G4 rare, I would say stick to the G4 rare, not the Talios, just because of that loot boosting ability. But Talios might actually be a better grinder than, let's say, your G4 on common. Now, the refinery, um, there's still a lot of benefit from the refinery. It'll fuel your Bolo loop, Borg Solo Armada, so you can get a lot of officer shards there. You're getting your directives there. Yes, there is benefit from getting the faction credits and the independent credits and the reputation. The problem is it costs the same currency to get that stuff that it does to tier up your Talios. So I don't recommend doing all those pulls every day. Something you're going to have to try to plan out yourself, and where your income of charged nanoprobes, a portion you're trying to bank up to be able to tier up your Talios, and a portion of them you're using because you want faction credit. Don't get the reputation yet. That's more of an end game. You want the faction credit. You want the independent credit. But you really do want to tier up your Talios. You tier up your Talios, those loot pools are going to be even higher. Right? So you might as well not pull all of them. So save up them charged nanoprobes. Don't get me wrong. The stuff is great because independent credits, I got like 80,000 independent credits, and I just recently tiered up my 11 of 11. So there was 30,000 that went right there, or however many it was. I don't even remember because I just clicked the button because I had so many. But again, I'm in the 50s. I'm closer to the end game. You want to get closer to the end game for your Talios, so you have the benefit of that powerful ship that is faster, and the benefit of those refineries because you're a higher tier and you can get more per pull. So yeah, the Borg and the Borg Talios is definitely number 2. Now with the grinding, yes, it can be a little hard, but been a lot of good grinding officers coming out. So Enterprise Data, Janeway's really good. There's always, 5 of 11 get that loot boost. And the new Pike crew, a very good crew. So, while yes, it may be a pain in the ass, try to punch up. If you want, you can use Grush on your ship. I use Grush. I use Riker Grush 5. I don't even go for killing the hostiles. I go for impulse speed, loot, and warp range because, of course, the warp range, I'm locked on a stupid research, so I can't get to the biggest system without Grush. But then I go in there and I kill with Grush on my bridge, and I can fill my damn cargo bay. It's like, why can't you just allow me to do the research so I can go in there without Grush? Whatever. I know some people have said that the grind is kind of tough. I disagree. By all means, ask questions, try to do experiments on your own, try to figure out what the best crew for you is. I'm thinking it's going to be Janeway 5, New Data, as far as the best grinding crew. I'll put Paris below so you can get some mitigation. But you're going to get tons of those inert nanoprobes. All right. Oh, I don't need to scroll. I want to keep everything on the thing. And as it was in the last video, faction reputation is ship parts number 1. More faction reputation than the ship parts. It's more a bonus effect, I guess, of grinding out your reputation. But that is how you get access to the bigger ships. And it is kind of, let's say, grinding the reputation is kind of a fuel for you upgrading. You upgrade in your reputation. Ooh, look, I can pull blueprints of this big fancy ship now. I want to get up there. Oh, well, I need to get up to the shipyard of this level. It can kind of push you up there. By all means, if you're perfectly happy, camping at certain levels for several months, then by all means do that. But it can give you a little more nudge. What's the word? Give you something to fight for or grind for, a reward at the end of the tunnel a bigger, cooler, fancier ship, maybe. Could be there for you. All right, that is going to do it for this list. Let me summarize. For the low to high 40s, I'm saying that your prioritization should be as follows: 1. Faction reputation. 2. Borg. 3. Mantis. More acting and venom there, really. 4th is freebooters. 5th, Jem'Hadar hostiles. 6th, Stella. 7, Monaveen. 8, Voyager / Scouts. 9, Borg Cube. 10, Xindi. 11, Swarms. I really was trying to get this video a little shorter than the last one, but you know, me and I like to explain some things, maybe a little too much at sometimes. Oh well. Comment below. What did you think about this list? Do you think my changes to the 40s here make sense compared to, you know, what they were at the 50s? Some of these loops I think are not really worth putting a lot of prioritization into because they're more for a little higher levels. Do you agree with that? Especially with the Cube, the Voyager, and the Monaveen. I did drop them down. I think they're for more a little higher level people. And I moved this Stella and the Jem'Hadar up because get them done faster. Get them done in the 40s so you have more time for other things. Do you agree with that process? Or do you think maybe more of a balance between some of those loops, steady things? Or do you believe knocking one off early can make it a little easier for you? Okay, I'm signing out now. Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Rhino. Shields up, Commanders.